Jenny's World, keeping it fresh, keeping it real and keeping it middle-aged. So don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and also subscribe to my YouTube channel, Jenny's World, and go and have a look at my website. All the details are down below. Now today I'm going to talk about life in lockdown. Yes, it's official. I mentioned it last week. We are now in lockdown. Now I'm sure that most of you are seeing videos or hearing reports of what that actually means. I know I've certainly seen a few where we've had the police cars out so that everybody to get off the streets and stay indoors. I've heard rumours that we're going to have the army out, putting up roadblocks. I've also heard that if you want to go to the shops, you're going to have proof of ID. And when you come back from the shops, you're going to have to show receipts to make sure you went where you said you went. Now, this is really lockdown. Now, I feel as though for myself personally, it's been not too bad for the last 2 weeks. But can I do this for another 2.5 months? I don't know if I'm going to remain sane. Got the 2 grandkids at home who are now being homeschooled. And that's a lot of fun. So there's lots going on and lots just trying to get through everyday life in this new world of lockdown. But for me, I think it's a challenge. I mentioned before, working from home, still doing your normal 7-hour day. For me, it entails loads of meetings, one after the other after the other. While the kids are being taught in the morning, they tend to get bored by the afternoon, and they all want to be in those video calls. And what's really interesting is that obviously I'm not the only one in this situation. There are lots of parents who are working from home who used to be in the office while their kids were at school. Now, not only are they having to work from home, they're actually having their kids around and trying to entertain them. So it's been quite interesting as we're having these various meetings that you can either hear the kids in the background, you can see the kids in the photos, and people are just embracing it. It's a new world at the moment, and so everything goes. There's nothing wrong with letting your kids come in, letting your boss even see your kids. My boss is fine with it. Within my team, there's quite a few parents out there, so there's always kids running around in somebody's background. And for me, that's fine and it's all well and good. But the focus when you're trying to do your work and act as though things are normal just makes it that little bit more difficult. One of the things I have found for the last week or so is that when I was working in the office, I would have meetings probably spread throughout the day. And there were times when I just have back-to-back meetings with no break. Now, when I did work from home prior to this crisis, I'd probably have 2 or 3 meetings. I'd choose the days to work from home when I had no meetings so I can get work done. But what I found is that I'm literally having meetings put in left, right and centre. There are days this week when it's just been back to back, meeting after meeting after meeting with no break. And I've spoken to a few other people and they're feeling exactly the same. It's as though people are, I don't know, trying to put things in. I don't know if they're trying to check that you're actually working, but it just seems the calendars are getting jam-packed, and that just leaves very little time for you to A, have a break, B, relax, and really get your head around this working from home, because it is very different now than it was a month ago or 2 months ago. It's a different approach you've got to take, you've got to be more focused. It's even trying to work out how I'm kind of like thinking, crumbs, it's Monday. And my daughter comes in and says, no, it's Tuesday. I'm like, no, it's Monday. And she's losing track of time. And it's only been a few weeks for her. I think the good thing is at the moment, the girls are great. They have the attention span for a few hours to do their schoolwork. So we make sure we get that done in the morning where we can. And then they're just having fun. I know they're lucky. We have a garden, so they can go out and play in that. But not everybody's in that lucky predicament of even having a garden or having somebody around that can support them while they're looking after kids. So for some people it is really difficult and it's really tough. I know that sometimes as a grandparent surrounded by these 2 kids at home, I used to relish being at work to get away from all that nonsense that was going on, all the girls fighting and screaming and shouting. But now there's no escape. It's 24/7. And while I'm laughing about it, I do know that that's not exactly the same for others. They're now at home, they have no break from anything. So they go from work to looking after the kids, looking after the house, cooking, cleaning, back to work. And it's just non-stop. And it's very difficult then to keep that motivation going. I know for myself, I look at my calendar, I'm like, oh, another meeting. I've got to do this report, I've got to figure this out. And people's demands on your time is even worse. It's as though they seem to think that you're working from home so you can do more than if you're in the office. And it's just like, well, no, I still have to work those same 7 hours. Never did 7 hours, always did more. And now it seems even more difficult just to try and stick to those core hours. So I have to ask myself, am I going to be sane at the end of this lockdown, whether it's 3 months, 6 months, or whatever the rumours are going out and how it stands still? I'm not completely sure. Talking to my team, it's very new for them to work from home. There's very different challenges. Some people have internet issues, so it drops from one moment to the next, which again isn't surprising. We're in a situation now where the majority of us who can do are working from home. So although the broadband providers are saying, no, it's fine, we've had this before, we've never had any issues, it is going to affect people's ability to keep connected. And then it then impacts their productivity. But you've got to be balanced, you've got to be flexible, and you take that into account. But how do you keep going if your internet keeps dropping out and you're having to message your boss to say, oh, sorry, I've got this issue. And I think that's the challenge that as leaders, as managers, or whatever you want to call it, that we have to face in managing our team and keeping them motivated. So there's lots of different things we're trying to do. I know for myself, when we have our team meeting, trying to make it light and fun, get all the boring stuff out of the way in 10 minutes and just have a general chat and see how things are going, see what people are doing. There's lots of other people who find in different ways to keep themselves motivated. I know that everybody's kind of like thinking, from my perspective around here, is like, right, when can I go out to the shops? Is it even safe to go out to the shops? If we are going to be in this strict position where you can leave the house once, what's essential shopping and when does that occur? I know we've been thinking about going out maybe once every week to go and get our shopping, but then you kind of like hear different stories. And I've been out several times just up the road and it's completely empty. There's hardly anybody out there. So this week we've literally been in the house all week and haven't left it apart from going to the garden. And as I said, that's a nice relief. You get that bit of fresh air. But these are things which are fluid, forever going and forever moving. And will we be able to maintain staying locked up? We had somebody come round yesterday to check the gas, and he came and said, "It'll be 5 minutes." And I'm just like thinking, well, actually, should you even be coming in the house? Admittedly, he was very quick. I'm not sure what he did. I don't actually think he even looked at the boiler. But he was in and out, and that made me pause for think. And I'm thinking, well, actually, nobody else is going to come into this house unless it's an essential. I don't be the house has something majorly wrong with it. We've got a flood or something. Because again, you don't know what people are bringing into your house. I had a message out from, I think it was my sister, and she had a message forwarded on to her regarding your post. Now, apparently, you're not even allowed to touch or open your post. Once you get that, you've got to separate it. You've got to leave it for a day before you open it, and that's because of how this virus spreads and mutates. So now we're having like holding places for if it's a package or post, and we're having to wait that 24 hours before we touch it, then quickly making sure it's out and destroyed. So all the little things that we didn't have to do or didn't even think about, we're now having to consider. And that makes it very challenging to kind of like keep motivated and keep going, thinking, is there an end in sight? And nobody's got the answer for that. Things just seem to be getting worse and worse. The death toll just seems to be creeping up and creeping up. And life is just feels as though it's going to be like this for a while. So the motivational piece of me wants to say, get out there, be safe, and kind of like keep yourself going, keep your spirits up. But we have to find different ways to maintain that. And I do think having kids around helps. It gives you a nice distraction. While they're arguing over a doll or a toy or whose turn it is to watch the TV, it kind of like takes your mind away of what's going on in the world. And luckily enough, I think they understand the coronavirus and what it means, but not to the same extent as we do. And even my daughter now, she was at the start always sending me all these videos, all these messages about what people were saying, what was happening, what we weren't being told. And she's actually said, enough's enough, I don't want to see any more videos. Stop sending them to me. And which you kind of think we're in week 2, we've got a long time to go. And she's a lot younger than me, and she's fed up with it. So I wonder how others are feeling about this social media, what's going on, what's true, what's not true, what do you believe? And I think ultimately everybody's going to be watching these videos, these clips, reading these messages, because we don't want to miss out on something. If I don't open a video that somebody sent to me, if I don't read a message, am I missing something vital that will not only protect myself but protect my kids? So for me, it's kind of, I think I've got to read it, I've got to watch it, and then I take note and pass it on. Now, I do feel sorry for my dad. So we normally go and see him as often as we can, and now we just have to do everything by phone. He's not quite up in the technology states where we can actually do Skype or anything, but we're hopefully going to get that sorted. But he's no longer able to go out. He's in his 80s, as I mentioned before, so he's extremely vulnerable. But luckily, I have a younger brother and an older sister at home, so at least he's got company. But there are lots of people out there who don't. As I mentioned before, we're all going to have that community spirit and watch out for each other. So this is really about kind of like just giving you a view of life in my world and how I'm finding it challenging and difficult, but trying to maintain it. And I think doing these YouTube videos just really helps. It gets me to talk about my life. Hopefully I'll get some comments from you guys out there to me what you're experiencing, what you're doing to keep yourself and your family safe and sane, any challenges you're coming up with, any kind of good fun games that you want to share. Please send them forward. I think we've got to keep each other together, we've got to keep each other going, and we will get through this. Now, I'm going to wrap it up there. So thanks for watching, and don't forget, keeping it fresh, keeping it real, and definitely keeping it middle-aged.